Okay, this is Brent from TradeGuild.blogspot.com, and it's actually June 5th, but we're looking at the market for June 4th. Running through a couple ideas. Next up is EDA, which is Endeavor Acquisition Corporation, and in my mind, this is another possible short. We're looking at the longer version of 3C, and of course, what looks to be a negative divergence over here. Actually, let me pull up an hourly chart here. I think this looks a little better. Okay, so here's that hourly chart, and you can see price moving up here and getting into testing these highs over here. Indicators moving down fairly reliably. So I'm going to call that a negative divergence, which we like for shorting stocks. And I think we've got a couple more here. Let me check a couple other time frames. I think the half hour as well. There's another negative divergence you can see right in this area. You know, if this indicator was in gear really strong with price, you'd see it moving up, making new highs. So we're not seeing that. So I think we're seeing some distribution into EDA. I'm going to give you a look at a faster version of 3C again, and we're going to take a look at a 5-minute chart. And remember, I said that we can have different trades in the same stock in different time frames. So it kind of looks like this is a 5-minute time frame. It kind of looks like we're getting a positive divergence here, and basically you can see a failure right here at these highs, another failure over here. It moves down. We see the price come down a little bit, and then we see some strength developing here. So I think there's a possibility that we're going to see a bounce here in EDA, which again, in my mind, is a good way to enter a short setup on a weak stock that's rallying. And I'm not sure that I would necessarily say this is a weak stock, but from the evidence that I'm seeing in the indicators, it looks like there is some distribution occurring throughout this quite large lateral consolidation or lateral movement here. Let's look at a couple other things here. This is a linear regression channel. It's set to a period of 100, and you can see the stock has kind of fallen out. And this is also another good short setup when a stock falls out of a regression channel and then bounces back up on light volume and kisses it goodbye. And generally you can see it move down like that. So that's another good setup with regression channels. And one of the other things I have is a long version of TSV 55 over here. And I like using the long versions. You can see it's well under its moving average for quite some time now. So that kind of confirms in my mind distribution that we're seeing. A couple other things that I want to mention real quick here. The short interest ratio on EDA is quite high at this point in time, but another little bounce or rally could possibly help that come down a little bit. So let's take a look at another stock, and this one is going to be ERS. And ERS is, you know what, actually, hold on, I didn't show you the support and resistance over here. Let me get rid of this indicator real quick, clean up the screen. Okay, obviously, you know, we're seeing this stock trade in this big rectangular consolidation type of thing. I'm going to pull up an hourly chart, and in my mind, I think it looks like there's pretty decent resistance up here around this $11.80 area. So if we enter a trade, maybe we get a bounce, and this on the hourly chart almost looks like a little bounce might be coming. This almost looks like a little harami. It's interesting, this is almost a falling three methods. If it was all within this body, we might call it that. And then we have this little harami. So maybe there's a little bounce coming, and it's you know, sets up a short. You might want to have a stop a couple percent above these highs or something like that. Now we can move along, and the stock I wanted to show you was ERS. Now ERS is a very volatile stock. I've dodged a pretty big bullet on this one a couple times. So I would definitely look at your risk management and be careful with this stock. Um, we're going to look at the shorter version of 3C, or the faster version, I should say. And here's an hourly chart, or I'm sorry, a daily chart. You can see nice divergence there. The stock's moving up. Or I'm not sorry, the stock's not moving up. The indicator's moving up. It's in a leading divergence over here as prices pulled back on the daily chart. On the hourly chart, it looks like it's just kind of getting in gear there. Nothing much to see. Here's the half-hour chart. Even though it's pulled back from this high over here, you can see this indicator is continuing to move up despite that pullback. So that's an interesting development. Here's a 15-minute chart. We're seeing the same thing, that pullback. It's continuing to move up. 10-minute chart, same thing, positive divergence. 5-minute chart, same thing, as it's kind of moving sideways here. It's moving up on the 5-minute chart. Here's the 1-minute chart. Just about every time frame looks positive to me. So I would presume that we're seeing accumulation here in ERS. Now, I have another indicator that I use once in a while. I like MoneyStream a lot, and that's in red over here. And you can see MoneyStream's above its moving average. And even though we've seen this pullback, it's really remained pretty solid in my opinion.